Welcome to the Sacred Emergence Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Wong, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is a place where you'll be guided to living your most aligned life so that your truest, most radiant self can emerge. We'll be jamming on topics ranging from spirituality, entrepreneurship, to wellness and lifestyle design, and everything in between that can support you to grow, evolve, and shine, all the while not taking ourselves too seriously. So if you're ready to step into your leadership, break through limiting beliefs, own all of who you are, and expand in abundance, grab yourself your faith cup of tea and let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Sacred Emergence. It's Michelle Wong here, and today I have finally put together one of my, back in October of last year, so back in the fall of last year of 2020, I put together an interview series for some of my clients who had human design readings with me or continued to work further with me through HD Embodied, or even done partner readings between their and their VA, or them and their partners, their spouses. And so I finally put together one of my favorite interviews. It was between me and Tricia Bolender, which I've had her on the show previously to interview her, but this is such a fun interview, and I wanted to put this together because I mentioned that I was going to assemble some of the episodes that really stood out. And one of the things I wanted to share is that because we did this through Facebook Live, there's a little bit of internet lag. So in some of our, during our interview, there was a little bit of like talking over each other because, during the live, it didn't feel like that. But in the recording, there's a little bit of like, as she's talking, I'm talking, and I try to cut those parts out as best as I could. And then there are some that I kept in because it still kept the integrity of the conversation. So I wanted you to get a taste of what it's like when you start embodying your human design and how practical it can be. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I love doing human design readings. My favorite is HD Expanded because it really gives time for my clients to integrate, to ask questions, and it just allows for more space to start putting the knowledge into practice while still having support. So I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to learn more about getting your human design reading, or if you've already had one and want to continue to integrate and have a little bit more guidance. That's something that I offer as well. Or if you're wanting to do a partner reading between you and your spouse, or you have a business partner, that's super fun. So feel free to reach out. I also have Tricia's interview, the actual interview on Facebook, in the show notes, as well as her podcast and her website. So if you want to learn more about Tricia, she's fantastic. I love her work. She also now includes Akashic readings. So if you want to learn more about working with her, please check out Tricia's information as well. Take care. Hello friends. Welcome back to the Human Design interview series. It's Michelle Wong here. And we are here for interview number 6 with Tricia Bolender, who is a dear friend of mine, and I'm so excited for you to all meet her. As she's coming on, as I'm waiting for her, hello Alexis, thank you for the heart bubble beauty. If you're catching the after party, hashtag after party. Hi Tricia. Oh my god, Tricia, before I bring you on, let me read your bio. Let me tell the audience what you're about, and then I'll bring you on. Okay, so Tricia is, her energy type is a projector. She is an emotional projector. Her authority is emotional, and her profile is a 6-2. And a little bit about Tricia. So Tricia's like a badass. Tricia is a coach, strategist, and speaker who helps leaders find their purpose, step into their power, and define their legacy. She helps clients lead courageously and claim their truth, authentic power through sacred power, a framework she developed focusing on focus on divinity, integrity, and spirit-led action. So good. Prior to executive coaching, she was part of the senior leadership team at Life Spring Hospitals, a chain of maternity hospitals serving low-income women in India. And she's also super smart, Harvard grad, MBA grad at Columbia, and she's just a rock star. So you can find You can find her at triciabolender.com, and we're going to talk more about Tricia and her amazingness. So welcome, Tricia. I'm so excited you're here. Let me bring you on.
I
Hello,
can.
hello.
Hi,
Oh my God.
Michelle.
Okay, so thank you for being here. You are my projector for this interview series. So I'm excited you were able to say yes, and especially so last minute.
Yes. Well, anything with you, Michelle. I
Thank
always have
you.
fun with you.
Okay, so I'm excited, especially because you did a one-on-one reading and then you jumped into Human Design Embodied, which is part two of like, this is what you do after you do a reading to embody your human design more. And then you circle back and you wanted to do, I call it dynamic duo readings now, like you and somebody else. And so I was like,
Yes.
so you asked if I could do one between you and your VA. And I was like, let's do it. And so I'm just like so excited to hear like the before and after of working more with your human design.
Oh my goodness. I mean, so the biggest one, I guess going backwards, is so I asked you to do a human design reading for myself and Maddie, who is then my VA, and it was just incredible. First off, she wasn't able to be on the call because of time difference, and she's based in Bucharest. But I sent her the recording, and I had sent you her feedback, and a lot of it was
Mm-hmm.
basically like, "This is so spot on. I feel so seen and heard," and she wasn't even part of it. And when we talked about this together, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we complement each other so well." And so she is now not my VA. She's my chief of staff. I have a chief of staff because, and we can talk more about this, but like projectors need a chief of staff. Like projectors need, somebody somebody to compliment us and follow through with all of the energy that, the ideas are here, but like not, I don't necessarily have all the energy for follow through. So that is probably one of the biggest ways
Oh, this
together.
might be a selfish question for me. So did you promote her to chief of staff
Yeah.
after the human design? Like, was that what compelled you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, so it wasn't, so it's funny as you say that. It wasn't that the
Yeah.
human
Oh,
design
yeah.
was any sort of a test. Like, it's not that I was thinking of promoting her and then, but through the human design reading, it was clear that how I have been leveraging our relationship and her was it was so tip of the iceberg for what was possible. And she's a remarkable graphic designer, so she was helping with a lot of the Instagram designs and things like that. But in through your reading, I really realized what really a thought partner, but like a
Mm.
co-creator in the magic that is constantly being created in my world, and not just a support person for that, but really somebody who could be, as I tell her, like my right hand woman. And your reading was so instrumental. It was
Oh, that
really
makes
the
me so
pivotal
happy.
element of that.
I love it. Yeah, because I remember when
Yay.
I did both your charts, I was like, oh my God, you found the perfect VA for you. Now, chief of staff. Yeah.
I
I
know.
was like, wow. So
Yes.
I think it's really smart that you recognize as a projector energy type that oh my God, like I need support. I can't do this all by myself. And you were able to find someone who can really like not just do the things you don't enjoy, but leverage you and her together to be like a power business, creation thing.
Yeah, we totally nerded out. And now we get to like nerd out on human design, and the notes that I took on our human design, she had uploaded it on Google Docs. So it has both of our notes and highlights and like all this and that. And even utilizing how we think about our meetings and how we work together through
Uh,
the lens of human design. It's really cool. It's the shared language, yes, but it's much more powerful than just the shared language because it's really, um, a potential way to work together that
I love it.
leverages our
And it's,
strengths. It's
what was
beautiful.
interesting when you first reached out saying, hey, can you look at my virtual assistant's chart? You initially said she was a manifester. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting because manifestors don't have that much energy either. It just really depends, right? It depends on the urges of a manifestor. So I was like, this is going to be really interesting. And then, yeah, no, it's
I just
good. So when
messed
I
it
found
up.
out she was a generator, I was like, oh, this is way better.
Yes.
She has the energy,
Yes.
and yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. And she also like she's also now
Mm,
looking through my chart and all,
yeah,
what's a 6-2 and all of that. And so she
yeah.
has her own ideas also about how to best support. So it's such a great tool to really be able to work with one another and make, we always knew even from the first time we ever spoke, we
Mm,
knew there was a spark and we knew that we worked well together. But this makes it
yeah.
explicit, sort of the
Yeah,
reasons
and
that
I
we
think
work
like
so
that
well
spark
together.
that you talk about, it's because your charts are so complementary and that you really do, um, I think, activate each other's like the gates that are potential, it gets activated. And then like that's so magical. Like I was like, whoa, like it's just like a
Yeah.
lot of things that on your own, both of you on your own, but together you can create so much. So,
Well, I remember that call, and I was going to go back to my notes because I remember when you were talking about those gates. And it was like the gates of magic, the gates of wealth, the gates of like sparkly amazingness. And I'm like, what? Are these real things? And I'm making them up now, but I just remember they were they were just
that's so
amazing.
funny. I know it's really fun. And then for listeners who are like tuning in, you have no idea. This gets really technical in the human design because we have our aura, which is like it maps to the energy type. So the projector aura is very like a beacon of light, right? It's very like concentrated and focused. And so like there's different auras, and then it also has our own unique internal energies of what gets lit up inside of us that maps to kind of like different archetypes, different like it maps to the I Ching. So it gets very esoteric, but at the same time very practical if we allow it to be. And so when you're with somebody else, different energies get sparked, different channels engaged. So it becomes more technical, but it's my job with human design to make it more like tangible for you as the client. So yeah, I'm so happy to hear that because I'm just so glad that it worked out with you and Maddie, and that elevated your business, right? That's really cool. So you made it
Yes.
practical because a lot of times some people would just listen and then they just push the information aside. And human design is not just take it as information; it's integrating it, embodying it, which is what you decided to do. Which is amazing because then it becomes to life, human design.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I would say that, thinking about the trajectory of our work together, I think the biggest shift, I mean, this last one was huge and it's so next level, but I think the biggest shift from one place to another was doing the human
Mm-hmm.
design embodied work, which was where we took, because there was a bit of a gap too, between when we did, I think it was even before the pandemic was like, because we
Yeah.
were like, oh, let's meet up in Seattle. And then the pandemic hit and we're like, never mind. Um, but it was in the early spring that I found out my type. And I remember I took tons of notes and I remember feeling like, wow, this is really useful, but not necessarily taking a lot of those. Like there were some things like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I should be working less and just being more mindful of breaks. And so that was huge, but it was more tips, I guess, in how I incorporated
Mm.
it versus embodied. And so then when we did the weekly sessions together, and it was only for a month, but the fact that it was weekly and it was already built upon this knowledge, it was really taking the knowledge, which was like head, and then to day to day. And that was great. That was in
Yeah.
September, I think. And yeah, that really helped because I really focused
Mm-hmm.
on things like eating and work and all of
Oh,
that.
that makes me
So
so
that was
happy
just
to
so
hear
helpful.
because that's really my at the end of the day, the embodiment piece is I think is so crucial. And like Yeah, with human design, it's
Yeah.
great information, but it doesn't come to life until you actually put it into practice. And you're just like the star client because like you really,
I
oh
hear
my
that a
God,
lot.
like
No, just
you were the
kidding.
perfect client. You're like, you came with questions. You're like, okay, I tried this. And I love, like, what I love that you did, because you have an emotional 30. So it's like you gotta kind of ride your emotional wave. And I love you're like, is this even? Because I had you do an Excel sheet of just tracking your emotions. And it was helpful for me to see your, like, oh, this is what emotional wave looks like. And you're like, is this even an emotion? Like, I don't even know. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, and it's so helpful when you can see it. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there were so many just practical elements from that month. And so one was tracking my energy
mhm.
and really seeing that. Another was just like tactile. Like I remember you
Your
saying for
environment,
I don't know if it's the profile
your
or
environment.
projectors.
Hmm.
Yeah, and just touching things is so important. And so so I got some Play-Doh and I'm touching that, and even sometimes when I would facilitate, I would have like
Mm.
a rock in my hand just to feel something like solid because everything's just in the ether and like Zoom lands. Um, and just, yeah, just thinking through what every day could
Oh
I
my God, I
do
love
around
that.
human
I'm
design.
looking to see what your cognition is. Yeah, your cognition is touch. So it's like how you sense, right? It's like your
Yep.
strongest sensing superpower. And so yours is touch. So it actually helps you become more aware. It's like it activates like a deeper level of your intuition. It's through touch. And also your environment is markets. So it's almost like getting into, if you imagine going out into the market, it's like there's an energy to it. You touch and feel, you get to explore what's out there. That all like, it helps you come back to your own energy. And it helps you decondition. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
interesting. I forgot
mm.
about the markets piece. I remembered about the touch, but yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes.
I'm
Oh my
I'm
God.
learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always
So that
learning.
makes me like really happy to hear how it's affected like the before and after. I'm curious, like, what was it like before human design for you?
I laugh because that's also pre-COVID. So it's like everything, like everything was different. Everything was different in my world before I met
Yes.
Michelle Wong. Oh my gosh. It's really interesting. I mean, the biggest takeaway I have around projector is what you had, how you just described it, to folks who may not know, but it's this like focused energy. It's like this focused kind of like light, I guess. And it's definitely how I work. So I like to work in short bursts and to be really kind of laser focused. Um, and I read, first of all, your readings are so much better than things that articles that I read online. So even though you can get this stuff online, it is so great to have Michelle actually do a reading. Because online they say things like projectors see themselves as lazy, or other people see them as lazy, and I'm like, I never actually saw myself as lazy.
No.
Like, I don't think people say I'm lazy, but I definitely have what my husband lovingly calls like island personality. My family's from the Philippines, and so oftentimes I'll just be like lying down, and I'm like, I'm in island mode, and it wasn't. And I guess with human design and understanding projector,
Hmm.
it's more like, oh, okay, that's all part of it. And so I think that's helped. I don't know if that's so much of before or after, but just it just helped make
Mm.
sense of things. And I start so the big thing. So also around the time that I had my human design reading,
Mm.
I started my business. So I started my LLC, and so I've been consulting for almost a decade. But this year, but it's been contracting. It's been very it hasn't been like strategic in terms of growth. And so this
Mm.
year I started my own business around consulting and coaching and really growing that. And so I think without human design, I would have approached that very differently. from how I am, and how I am focused on it is
Mhm.
to be very laser focused on the areas that um, I'm passionate about and meaningful. And I don't take on every client. And um, like how I do
Mhm.
work is I go deep. And so I work with people who want to go deep. Whereas before, I think it would have been like, just grow the business by serving everyone, or, but just it's brought a lot of discernment in my business strategy as well as
I
just
love that
personal day to day.
discernment. Oh, that is so good. I feel like that's, yeah, because there's, as a projector, like you got to protect your energy in terms of like not burning yourself out by taking on too many and trying to like do like your 8 hours days of like consulting. That would burn you out and you would like hate, you would hate your thing, like your job, your business. So I love that you're saying discernment, so that you can still focus on things that you do love without feeling like, like I have to keep up with the rest of the world has a sacral
Exactly.
energy center activated or defined, and for you don't have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Amazing.
And I think also, the other piece I think it's also brought for me is this additional lens
Mm.
on speaking. And,
Yeah.
you and I both have women speak in common. Sadly, we weren't in the same circle, but, we have that, um, we know what it's like to step into
Mm-hmm.
speaking our voice more and speaking from the heart. And so now from the projector lens, I feel like I get to do that with
Mm.
more authenticity and really kind of stepping into my 6-2 profile of speaking, and not telling people what to do, but more like this
Mm-hmm.
has been what I've learned, and if it's helpful for you too,
Yeah, yeah. So the thing
cool.
about like for the listener, 6-2 is like the six is very much like the wise person as you get older, and it's about kind of sharing your experiences in a way that people can see your wisdom and your growth. And so that's really powerful. And because the six is your karma is a transpersonal karma, meaning like your energy is here to really create good in the world. Like it's almost like I'm here for the betterment of the world, and this is my mission, and I can see that in the work that you do. So it's beautiful, and I love that like you're pulling that into like, okay, like I get to utilize my voice, and help others, in a way that is just sharing my experience and my journey, which is very natural for you because it's part of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time you say that, like, you're here for the betterment of the world, I'm like, yay, say it again. Because it feels so true and it feels so validating to
Yeah.
hear that.
Oh my God. Yes. I honestly wish like every one of my human design clients are like as motivated as you are. Because it's actually for me as, like really, I just show you what you already have. I just kind of peel the layer, like, here you go. It's so rewarding for me to witness that, like, oh my God. And it helps me like,
Mm.
just understand the value of my work even at a deeper level, because like I know it on paper because like I've experienced it for me, and but to see like you're like a living testimonial. Just like, okay, like this is why I do what I do, and I'm gonna keep continuing because it is so impactful. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I mean, just how much fun this journey has been. And, it's human design has always been here, but I'm new to it. And so when I find out that another friend is also into human design, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like this whole other way
Mm,
to connect with people, that can be just really helpful, as you said, in terms of really that
mm.
interaction with one another. So no, I'm just very grateful, Michelle, to you for really opening my eyes to all of this,
Oh my
and helping
goodness,
me
my
along the
pleasure. And
way.
thank you for saying yes. Ah, so how can people learn more
Yes.
about you? And like I interviewed Tricia for my podcast, Sacred Emergence, and that came out this week. And
Yes.
so
Oh
definitely
my
check it
goodness.
out. But how can people learn more about you and your work?
Yes. So I have a website. It's triciabolender.com. So you can come check that out. And I'm also on
Perfect.
Instagram at
I'll
Tricia
share the
Lords.
links in the description. And thank you so much, Tricia, for your time and for sharing your journey.
Yay!
Thanks,
Amazing. Well, enjoy the rest of your
Michelle.
Friday, and we'll connect soon.
Thank you for listening to the Sacred Emergence podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and thank you in advance for sharing this with others who can benefit. Until next time.